Today we're going to talk about Redland Cambrian tiles. This roof here is one that I'm matching on the other side and doing a few other works on. Are they the easiest things in the world? No. Here's some very welcome tips. Some things I wish I'd have known before I started with these. I've just finished a job with Redland Cambrians, and here's 7 great things that might help you if you end up with a Redland Cambrian job as well. Reason I used them is because we're matching existing, and this whole estate, everybody's got Redland Cambrians on them, and there's a small extension, so it had to be done really. Would I use them again? Probably not. First things first, they're fragile. They break, yeah? I mean, there's a new one there, all right? And they're probably even more fragile than a real slate when you're walking on them. The other thing about them is that if you do have a crack or a fracture or you need to replace one, they are nearly impossible to replace. And that will be the key issue. And the challenge is that they're interlocking and they're clipped. You just can't get a slate ripper in there. You can't slide one out. If you've got one and you're up here, you're stripping everything to get to it. Literally. They are almost impossible to replace unless you've got some hideous bodge and you're sticking one in with some adhesive. So when you are doing one of these roofs, if you have to, be really careful when you're walking on them or kneeling on them or leaning over them. When you're trying to do a bit of lead work up the side, I'll show you what mine looks like at the moment. You see I've got a support ladder there, literally with a load of cushions and blankets underneath it, just so that it spreads as much load as possible. It's just as an example what you need to do if you're going to think about getting a ladder on these. Get a load of cushions and stuff underneath there and make sure you don't put on any pressure at all. You can see up there I've got a strap coming out from that Velux onto the top of the ladder to stop it from sliding all the way off the roof. Okay, let's have a look at fixing them. So, fixing recommendations spec from Redland is a 30mm annular ring stainless steel nail. Well, I reckon if you do one of these jobs with these, you want to make sure you've got a nice box of 40mm stainless steel number 4 screws, because you will want to use them in many areas, especially if you're coming in around a Velux or something like that. You'll stand no chance whatsoever putting these nails in nicely, especially if you're going to some old hard batten, or you've got batten that's not particularly regular, or you've got batten that's got a little bit of bounce in it. You will never get these in. So move on to a screw, but make sure you use a stainless steel screw, because what you don't want is that rusting out in a decade's time and then you ending up with rust running down from that rotting out screw. So box of stainless steel screws is vital. When I stripped one of the roofs here, I found, apart from the fact they're a menace to get off, because as I said earlier, you're trying to pull out these nails out of here that are down and recessed in there, and it just breaks the tiles. But when I took these ones off, what did I find underneath? Bags and bags of the clips. These ones here, right? That should have been used by the original roofer. Now, I imagine that this entire estate has also got bags and bags of these lying underneath, hidden away, where the guy did half a row and went like that and threw them under to hide them away from whoever was going to do their inspection. So the roof that I stripped off had like 4 clips on the entire thing, and the bag was just dumped, and the same on the other side. And as I say, I reckon all of the 50 houses on this estate are exactly the same. And they're a terrible clip. They're just a menace. So the idea is you have the tiles here like this, and then this clip here comes in and it locks one to the other like that. So it goes over the tile that's above it, locks down to the tile that's below it, and then you nail through this little slot here. It ties all these components together, ties this to this to this and into the batten. Now, this here is called a 9196. That's the clip number. And if you have, or maybe your merchant has still got and supplies you some of these, what you want to do is throw them away. Because there's now a new 9196, which looks completely different, which looks like that. Now that is what you want. These do the same job, but without that annoying extra nail. So instead of coming through the nail hole, these just simply slide on like that. And they do just as good a job, and they won't tie you up in a nightmare mess and cause you to decide to throw the whole bag away. So definitely you need the new style clip and not the old style one. When you're finishing at the edges, there's a standard kind of bent bit of stainless steel clip, if you can imagine. That one there goes through the end and they slot in underneath here. We'll show you we'll cut to a picture of that one. But they're relatively straightforward and easy to use. When you're coming in the other side, so if you're thinking there's a finished edge, and if you're coming into an abutment side, i.e. you've got a roof here and it's butting into a vertical wall here, you don't use soakers with these. They're an engineered slate interlocking. So instead of using a lead soaker, you need to use a secret gutter. And it actually looks quite nice, but there's no room on these for using a lead soaker. So you don't want to do that. That is what mine looks like, or this one looks like after, I think that's been on 30 years. And that's the same colour as a new one. So how long it'll take this one to get to this one, I don't know. It's an interesting finish. You can kind of feel that it's a bit kind of abrasive and it looks quite nice. It's weathered in nicely. What you do need to think about when you're putting the roof on is these, when they're new like this, are really greasy. Now, I don't know what's on top of there. It doesn't come off on your hands, but they're really slippery. Do not think, I'll just rest my cordless there, or I'll just rest my hammer there, because that is gone. And the next thing you know, you're looking at your wife at the bottom of the ladder, shaking her fist at you because it's hit her on the head. Honestly, nothing stays on them. Even when you're pitched like that, it's gone. Boof! They're greasy and slidey. Again, it makes them difficult to walk on. I wouldn't want to walk on something at 45 because you'll be gone. At some stage during the job, you're going to have to cut these. Unless you're really, 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 really the luckiest person in the world, you're going to be cutting some of these. And on this particular job, I got a couple of big Veluxes, so we ended up doing quite a few cuts, and we were unlucky with the spacing, so we ended up doing side abutment cuts and things like that. So I probably cut, I bet I've cut 100 tiles on this job. They don't cut like a normal slate, okay? They're made of like crushed slate and kind of rubbery compound in here. You can't just nibble away at them effectively. So what you need to do is to cut them with a cutting wheel, but I would strongly recommend you don't use a normal grinder because they absolutely stink of like burning rubber, you know, like that burning rubber tire smell you get. Yeah, they stink like that if you cut them, and the dust is super fine and you will have black bogies at the end of the day, yeah, and you just get covered in it. So what you want to do is go down your local screw station and get yourself one of those like 50, 60 pound wet tile saws, like the thing that you'd use for cutting ceramic tiles if you're doing a bathroom job. I'll show you my one that I've got out there, and it then makes it really easy. So you're cutting wet, you're not putting dust everywhere, and you actually get quite a good cut on them. So definitely, even if you think, oh, I just got one to do, it's worth it. And the things aren't expensive. Yeah, it's like £50. Go and buy one, and they last forever, and you can use it on another job afterwards if you haven't got one. So cutting them, that really is it. And you'll end up doing You know, when you come up to the edge of a secret gutter, for example, you know, you need to take away this material here where it overlaps. And it's just impossible to do otherwise because it's quite thick in there, and that whole bit needs to disappear on some of the jobs. And so you've really got to, that's the only way you're going to do it. And you don't want to be doing that with a handheld 4.5-inch grinder trying to chop out of there. It'll be a very ugly solution. That one there is the tile saw that we've been using to cut these. What is it? Bow screw fix, I think that one came from. And I think they're about 50 quid. They're really quiet and it's covered in dust. And you don't want to be doing a job with these tiles without something like this. When you drill them, because you will need to drill them, you know, if you've made a cut here or whatever and you can't use that hole for whatever reason, the best thing to use is a normal tile and glass bit. You know, the ones with it's got like a tiny little kind of point on the end of those. You can do those dry, doesn't need to be wet, and they actually take a hole quite nicely with one of those. Obviously not on an impact setting, just use the normal rotary setting on a normal drill, and then you will get a hole through there without any challenge whatsoever. And I mean, I've probably done 50 holes on this job with one tile and glass bit, and it's still going strong. So when I finish this roof, and you'll see I'll cut a shot in, at the edge we've got a traditional cementatious under support board and the tile here, and then you end up with that gap down the side, don't you, which is, you know, traditionally mortared in. Because we've got a black tile, I think it would have looked ugly with normal mortar in there. So I've used this here, mortar tone or black dye, black powder, whatever you want to call it. And it's come out really nicely. So for mixing wise, it gives you various guidelines on here, but of course it depends what colour your cement is, what colour the sand is, etc, etc. So for this one here, I ended up using 3 caps of that to a 2 bucket mix. So 2 buckets of sand, 3 caps of that, half a bucket of cement and a bit of plasticizer. And the colour came up. It's not jet black, but it's a really, really, really dark grey, which kind of matches well with that. Everything you've got on site ends up being slightly black, of course, including your hands. But it's not too bad. I think you might need a bit of extra plasticizer if you use this stuff. I don't know, but for some reason it didn't quite go as creamy as you'd usually want it to be. But it's one of those trial and error things. But actually, it's a very happy result, and I'm glad I did it. So that is Redland Cambrian. Hope it was useful. I wouldn't use them again. I'd use a normal slate, personally, if I had a whole roof to do. I'm sure there's some recycled elements and all that kind of thing, but then, you know, what's wrong with a proper slate? Even the ones that come in from India or China or Spain, if you can't afford Welsh ones, and who can? So, yeah, but if you've got a refurb job to do and you have to use them, then at least you know how to do it. If you're interested in anything that I've used on the job, there'll be a load of links below. As usual, I'd be very welcome if you decided to follow me, like me, subscribe, and all the rest of that. And it might well be that you'll find some of these on eBay. I might put a link to those as well, because whenever you do these jobs, you end up with clips you're never going to use again, don't you? I've got bags of the things. Yeah, I've got a feeling that's what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. Go and bung these on eBay for 20 quid. So, thank you. Hope you enjoyed it.